So anyway, I've got a lot going through my head right now. What our long-term plan is with my wife, myself, Abiram. So we're thinking many things, possibilities. Also, we want to render a little bit more service in India, help Guru Maharaj with some of the issues there, spend time in Vrindavan, things like this. So we're looking at different opportunities for the winter, what we may want to do, and then also opportunities for you guys here to. We've been really liking that you guys have been giving classes and taking more responsibility. Mohit, you just got here, but these guys, you guys have been doing a lot more. And so I honestly, and I think it'll be really good for your spiritual life to start taking the responsibility of being called on to share what you've learned about Krishna. So anyway, I need confirmation, I need guidance from my seniors in this matter. I'm not going to just whimsically book tickets or anything like this. But these things are definitely yearning, pulling at my heart. But it is Mercury retrograde still until at the end of Janmashtami, so I don't know. The plans, everything is up in the air, We think right now, the Airbnb got shut down, we're leaving the attic, we're going here, we're going there, and next thing you know, it's something completely changing. So, these type of things are going through my swirling mind. But anyhow, what to do except read Bhagavatam right now. So the last verse we did was, it was he only who withdrew the duration of life from everyone, and who in the battlefield withdrew the speculative power and strength of enthusiasm from the great military phalanx made by the Kauravas, headed by Bhishma, Karna, Drona, Shalya, etc. Their arrangement was expert and more than adequate, but he, Lord Sri Krishna, while going forward, did all this. Where's Piyush, by the way? Yeah, he had some urgent thing. Okay. No problem. Okay, let's go. Ready? Yaddo suma pranihitam guru bhishma karna naptra trigarta shalya saindava balikadyai astranya moga mahimani nirupitani no pas prashur nirharidasam ivasurani yet under whose dosu protection of arms ma pranihitam myself being situated Guru Dronacharya Bhishma Karna Naptra Bodhishrava Trigarta King Susharma Shalya Saindava King Jayadratha Balika brother of Maharaj Shantanu, Bhishma's father, Adyai, etc., Astrani, weapons, Amoga, invincible, Mahimani, very powerful, Nirupitani, applied, not, Upasprishu, touched, Nirhari Dasam, servitor of Nrsimhadev, Prahlad, Eva, like, Asurani, weapons employed by the demons. Great generals like Bhishma, Drona, Karna, Bodhishrava, Susharma, Shalya, Jayadratha, and Balika all directed their invincible weapons against me. But by his, Lord Krishna's grace, they could not even touch a hair on my head. Similarly, Prahlad Maharaj, the supreme devotee of Lord Nrsimhadev, was unaffected by the weapons the demons used against him. Purport. The history of Prahlad Maharaj, the great devotee of Nrsimhadev, is narrated in the 7th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. Prahlad Maharaj, a small child of only 5 years, became the object of envy for his great father, Hiranyakashipu, only because of his becoming a pure devotee of the Lord. The demon father employed all his weapons to kill the devotee's son Prahlad, but by the grace of the Lord he was saved from all sorts of dangerous actions by his father. He was thrown in a fire in boiling oil from the top of a hill, underneath the legs of an elephant, and he was administered poison. At last the father himself took up a chopper to kill his son, and thus Nrsimhadev, appeared and killed the heinous father in the presence of the son. Thus no one can kill the devotee of the Lord. Similarly, Arjuna was also saved by the Lord, although all dangerous weapons were employed by his great opponents, like Bhishma. So this is a lot of bio here. We saw the Mahavatar Nrsingadev movie that came out, and it's sweeping waves across India. Are you guys hearing this from your local sources, like how this is a big deal? So I hear it from like the devotees that it's a big deal, but I'm actually wondering if in like the regular Indian population it's like a big deal. What's that? Yes, many people are liking?
Yeah.
Okay, this is very good. This is very, very good. This was made by devotees actually, and done an incredible job. So I was reading an article. I saw that even the Muslims are appreciating in India.
Yeah.
Even the Indian Muslims are appreciating. Why? Because it's a universal message, where devotion to God trumps over any type of other thing in one's life. So it's naturally anyone who hears, even I know it would be hard also for the Christians of this country to understand, But I actually plan on it at some point when the movie comes into like the available for all type of thing, or it's out on some platform that you could order it. I plan on watching it with my parents, and then we'll have my wife's parents also watch, because it has a good message.
I wanted to talk to you about taking a trip to Rochester.
Yes, for Nrsingadev. Maybe if we do a program there with the Rochester devotees, it may be possible. But anyhow, I was hoping they would bring it to Syracuse, but I guess not. But anyway, Karna, born of Kunti by the sun god prior to her marriage with Maharaj Pandu. Karna took his birth with bangles and earrings, extraordinary signs of an undaunted hero. In the beginning his name was Vasusen, but when he grew up he presented his natural bangles and earrings to Indradev, and thenceforward he became known as Vaikartana. After his birth from the maiden Kunti, he was thrown in the Ganges. Later he was picked up by Adirath, and he and his wife Radha brought him up as their own offering. Karna was very charitable, especially towards the Brahmanas. There was nothing he could not spare for a Brahmin. In the same charitable spirit, he gave in charity his natural bangles and weapon called Shakti. And bangles and earrings to Indradev, who, being very much satisfied with him, gave him in return a great weapon called Shakti. He was admitted as one of the students of Dronacharya, and from the very beginning there was some rivalry between him and Arjuna. Seeing his constant rivalry with Arjuna, Duryodhana picked him up as his companion, and this gradually grew into greater intimacy. He was also present in the great assembly of Draupadi's Swayamvar function, and when he attempted to exhibit his talent in that meeting, Draupadi's brother declared that Karna could not take part in the competition because of his being the son of a Shudra carpenter. Although he was refused in the competition, still when Arjuna was successful in piercing the fish target on the ceiling, and Draupadi bestowed her garland upon Arjuna, Karna and the other disappointed princes offered an unusual stumbling block to Arjuna while he was leaving with Draupadi. Specifically, Karna fought with him very valiantly, but all of them were defeated by Arjuna. Duryodhana was very much pleased with Karna because of his constant rivalry with Arjuna, and when he was in power, he enthroned Karna in the state of Anga. Being baffled in his attempt to win Draupadi, Karna advised Duryodhana to attack King Drupad, for after defeating him, both Arjuna and Draupadi could be arrested. But Dronacharya rebuked them for this conspiracy, and they refrained from the action. Karna was defeated many times, not only by Arjuna, but also by Bhimasen. He was the king of the kingdom of Bengal, Orissa, and Madras combined. Later on, he took an active part in the Rajasuya sacrifice of Maharaj Yudhishthir. And when there was gambling between the rival brothers designed by Shakuni, Karna took part in the game, and he was very pleased when Draupadi was offered as a bet in the gambling. This fed his old grudge. When Draupadi was in the game, he was very enthusiastic to declare the news, and it was he who ordered Dushasan to take away the garments of both the Pandavas and Draupadi. He asked Draupadi to select another husband because, being lost by the Pandavas, she was rendered a slave of the Kurus. He was always an enemy of the Pandavas, but when there was an opportunity, he tried to curb them by all means. And whenever there was an opportunity, he tried to curb them all. During the battle of Kurukshetra, he foresaw the conclusive result, and he expressed his opinion that due to Lord Krishna's being the chariot driver of Arjuna, the battle should be won by Arjuna. He always differed with Bhishma, and sometimes he was proud enough to say that within 5 days he could finish up the Pandavas if Bhishma would not interfere with his plan of action. But he was much mortified when Bhishma died. He killed Gatotkacha. This is a very nice pastime, by the way. With the Shakti weapon obtained from Indradev. His son Brisasen was killed by Arjuna. He killed the largest number of Pandava soldiers. At last there was a severe fight with Arjuna, and it was he only who was able to knock off the helmet of Arjuna. But it so happened that the wheel of his chariot stuck in the battlefield mud, and when he got down to set the wheel right, Arjuna took the opportunity and killed him, although he requested Arjuna not to do so. So, a couple things here. Karna is actually the oldest Pandava. He's the oldest Pandava brother. He was born of Kunti first by the same means that all the other brothers were born, by her boon from Durvasa to get the demigod's blessings. So he was the original son of the sun god. Because Kunti was unmarried at the time, she had to actually send Karna down a river. It wasn't an ideal situation for her. She didn't expect to have a child when she called Anyway, but this has actually set the scene for the whole Mahabharata. Ultimately, Karna, not until the very end, and the Pandavas had no idea they were brothers, and then Karna was revealed this by Krishna right before the Battle of Kurukshetra. But still, due to the affection he received his whole life from Duryodhana, he couldn't turn the other cheek. Even though if Yudhishthir had known that Karna was the oldest brother, he would have given Karna the kingdom, everything, because it was rightfully his. So anyhow, but Karna, due to having some worldly dharma, which trumped even doing what Krishna requested of him, the Bhagavat dharma, he ultimately had he had a rough end in this material world. But he's like he could have won Draupadi in the Swayamvara, but Draupadi, and they knew this, but they said, no, he's of a Shudra. He cannot participate in the Swayamvara. So he was always very angry, envious, all these things, natural rivalry with Arjuna. Indra came personally to request his, he had like a natural born armor, and it was like attached to his skin. And he like ripped it off when Indra requested it in the form of a Brahmin. And the trade-off is that he would get Indra's Shakti weapon. And so Indra agreed because he knew that Karna would have to use that Shakti weapon before he could use it on Arjuna, even though it would have defeated Arjuna. He would get in a lot of disagreements with Bhishma, and it became a point that Bhishma and him couldn't fight. They couldn't act as generals at the same time, because Karna lost his cool and anger against Bhishma one time in an argument. And so Bhishma refused to fight alongside Karna. So Duryodhana said, please just stay in reserves until Bhishma falls, and then you could enter the fight. And that's what happened. So probably if all these things didn't happen, war would have easily been. Karna was more powerful, arguably, than Arjuna, with his own natural ability. But because Arjuna had Krishna's blessing, he could not be defeated. So this is, and Arjuna he's saying this now. He's saying, I don't know how the heck I beat all them. I had no idea how we could emerge victorious other than by Krishna's grace. You'll see in your life, even myself, I have no idea how I can be in a situation now where, owning a home, running a center, having nice boys and devotees we're helping cultivate who are, looking up to us to, I have no idea how this could have been arranged. And it was only by Krishna's rare mercy in the form of Keshava Gopal and many other devotees and the community members here, where everything came together in such a way that now my wife and I are situated to, have a very opportunity for a robust spiritual life. I have no idea actually how it happened. It's I didn't do anything by design. There are some ideas along the way, but Krishna, he enforced his own will on every situation. And he will do also for you, and he's done for Arjuna. So anyway, Karna was, kind of, he had a lot of people sympathize with Karna in the Mahabharata because due to his, he got the rough end of a stick, you could say. But on the same token, he had the opportunity. Krishna personally came to him and requested him to, hey, give up this. But he was so, again, due to worldly dharma, his relationship with Duryodhana, his promises that he made, and so on, that he was unable to do the right thing at the end. And then also because he was dishonest to his guru, Parashuram, and Parashuram is, he lied to Parashuram about being a Brahmin. And then when Parashuram detected that there's no way you're a Brahmin, and the way he detected is one day he was taking a nap on Karna's lap. That the guru might do, especially if he's living in the forest. And so he's taking a nap on Karna's lap, and Karna, being a good student, didn't want to disturb his guru's nap, and an insect came and landed on Karna. But Karna, the insect started to bore into his skin, like burrow into his skin, and Karna just sat there and accepted it. And Parashuram eventually woke from the nap and see that Karna's bleeding profusely, and this insect has made its way into his skin, and he's shocked. And he says, "There's no way you're a Brahmin. A Brahmin would never be able to tolerate this pain. You must be a Kshatriya, or why?" And then he said, "You've lied to me." And then basically he cursed him that when you need your mantras and your training the most, you will forget. And then when that happened, when his wheel got stuck in the battlefield, and Arjuna also he requested Arjuna not to kill him because it's adharmic. If someone's doesn't have a fair opportunity to fight, you wouldn't, if someone's off their chariot, you wouldn't on your chariot kill them. So Karna gets off his chariot to work, and Arjuna, he didn't actually naturally want to kill him, but Krishna said, "Now is the only opportunity, you must kill him." So then Arjuna, he kills Karna at that time, only by Krishna's request. And of course, Karna forgot the mantras he needed to counter it, and that's how he left this world. So it's kind of, Karna is probably one of the most sympathized villains of the Mahabharata. Hard to, you naturally, when you hear the pastimes, you do develop some affection for Karna, especially he's also the Pandava's older brother. He's the son of Kunti, a great devotee, and so much. But he just pretty much got cursed with bad association in his life. And what could have been an amazing, triumphant personality found himself on the side of evil. And and it manifested in an opposite way. So anyway, this is Karna. Nupta, or Burishrava. Burishrava was the son of Somadatta, a member of the Kuru family. His other brother was Shalya. Both the brothers and the father attended. And there he is. Both the brothers and the father attended the Swayamvara ceremony of Draupadi. All of them appreciated the wonderful strength of Arjuna due to his being the devotee friend of the Lord. And thus Burishrava advised the sons of Dhritarashtra not to pick any quarrel or fight with them. All of them also attended the Rajasuya Yogi of Maharaj Yudhishthir. He possessed one Okshahini regiment of army, cavalry, elephants, and chariots, and all those were employed in the battle of Kurukshetra on the behalf of Duryodhana's party. He was counted by Bhima as one of the Yutthapatis. In the battle of Kurukshetra, he was especially engaged in a fight with Satyaki, and he killed 10 sons of Satyaki. Later on, Arjuna cut off his hands, and he was ultimately killed by Satyaki. After his death, he merged into the existence of Vishwadev. He was actually a great. He was the son of Somadatta, who was also a great king, and he was a great warrior. And actually, he defeated Satyaki in battle, and because Satyaki was like a military disciple of Arjuna and a relative of Lord Krishna, Arjuna actually sent an arrow that cut off his arm when he was about to behead Satyaki. But Burishrava then, you know, everyone started criticizing Arjuna for this, and Satyaki was unconscious already. And then what happened is Burishrava, you know, he had some at the end he gave up his fighting and he went into a meditative pose, and then Satyaki came to, and Satyaki ran and went and beheaded him while he was meditating, trying to worship Vishwadev, you know, the universal form. Yes. Who is Satyaki? Satyaki is he is one of the he's a military student of Arjuna, and he's one of the Yadu warriors. He's a relative of Krishna. I don't remember exactly where the relation, but he's one of the Yadu dynasty, and him and Arjuna were very close. He was like Arjuna taught him military arts. So, but he would often travel with Krishna and Arjuna. He was like Arjuna's right-hand man. But anyway, everyone very much criticized Satyaki after Burishrava sat down in meditation and tried to give up his life, and he went and beheaded him. Just like everyone did the same for when Drishtadyumna did that to Dronacharya. Anyway, there's a lot of Mahabharata pastimes here. You're maybe getting Prabhupada's just basic summary. If you haven't heard the Mahabharata, it's worth time to hear the Mahabharata. It's a very very nice pastime. Very better than any movie you can ever watch. Maybe except Mahavatar Nrsinga. I'm excited for this movie. But other than that, it's such a great story. So anyway, Trigarta or Susharma, son of Maharaj Vridakshetra. He was the king of Trigarta Desh, and he was also present in the Swayamvara ceremony of Draupadi. He was one of the allies of Duryodhan, and he advised Duryodhan to attack the Matsya Desh Darbhanga. During the time of cow stealing in Virata Nagar, he was able to arrest Maharaj Virata, but later Maharaj Virata was released by Bhima. In the battle of Kurukshetra, he also fought very valiantly, but at the end he was killed by Arjuna. So another king, great warrior that Arjuna had to face. Jayadrath, another son of Maharaj Vridakshetra. He was the king of Sindhu Desh, modern Sindh, Pakistan. His wife's name was Dushala. He was also present in the Swayamvara ceremony of Draupadi, and he desired very strongly to have her hand, but he failed in the competition. But since then he always sought the opportunity to get in touch with Draupadi. When he was going to marry in the Shalyadesh on the way to Kamyavan, he happened to see Draupadi again and was too much attracted to her. The Pandavas and Draupadi were then in exile and after losing their empire in gambling, and Jayadrath thought it wise to send news to Draupadi in an illicit manner through Koti Shasya, one of his associates. Draupadi at once refused vehemently the proposal of Jayadrath. But being so much attracted by the beauty of Draupadi, he tried again and again. Every time he was refused by Draupadi, he tried to take her away forcibly on his chariot. And at first Draupadi gave him a good dashing, and he fell like a cut root tree. But he was not discouraged, and he was able to force Draupadi to sit on the chariot. This incident was seen by Domya Muni, and he strongly protested the action of Jayadrath. He also followed the chariot, and through Datrayika, the matter was brought to the notice of Maharaj Yudhishthir. The Pandavas then attacked the soldiers of Jayadrath and killed them all, and at last Bhima caught hold of Jayadrath and beat him very severely, almost dead. Then all but 5 hairs were cut off his head, and he was taken to all the kings and introduced as the slave of Maharaj Yudhishthir. He was forced to admit himself to be the slave of Maharaj Yudhishthir before all the princely order, and in the same condition he was brought before Maharaj Yudhishthir. Maharaj Yudhishthir was kind enough to order him released, and when he admitted to being a tributary prince under Maharaj Yudhishthir, Queen Draupadi also desired his release. After this incident, he was allowed to return to his country. Being so insulted, he went to Gangatri in the Himalayas and undertook a severe type of penance to please Lord Shiva. He asked his benediction to defeat all the Pandavas, at least one at a time. Then the battle of Kurukshetra began, and he took sides with Duryodhan. In the first day's fight, he was engaged with Maharaj Drupada, then with Virata, then with Abhimanyu. While Abhimanyu was being killed, mercilessly surrounded by 7 great generals. The Pandavas came to his help, but Jayadrath, by the mercy of Lord Shiva, repulsed them with great ability. At this, Arjuna took a vow to kill him, and on hearing this, Jayadrath wanted to leave the war field and asked permission from the Kauravas for this cowardly action. But he was not allowed to do so. On the contrary, he was obliged to fight with Arjuna. And while the fight was going on, Lord Krishna reminded Arjuna that the benediction of Shiva upon Jayadrath was that whoever would cause his head to fall on the ground would die at once. He therefore advised Arjuna to throw the head of Jayadrath directly onto the lap of his father, who was engaged in penances at the Samantapanchaka pilgrimage. This was actually done by Arjuna. Jayadrath's father was surprised to see a severed head on his lap, and he at once threw it to the ground. The father immediately died, his forehead being cracked in 7 pieces. So Jayadrath had a lot of problems. He was a lusty fool, and he approached the Pandava's wife inappropriately. And so ultimately he got severely beaten by Bhima, and the Pandavas destroyed his army very much. And then they were going to kill him. Of course they wanted to kill him, but because of him following Bhima's order to say that I'm a slave to Maharaj Yudhishthir, Yudhishthir and Draupadi were very merciful and said, let him go. So they disfigured him. They cut off his hair, and he took off his jewel, his royal jewel, and they left him with 5 hairs, so he looked pretty stupid. And that was the way to really dishonor someone back then. So anyway, he got really angry about this and took a very vengeful spirit. And his vengeance got the blessings of Lord Shiva, and he said, I want to be able to defeat the Pandavas. And Lord Shiva said, well, I can't have you do that. But what I can do is I can make it so that at least one time you can defeat each individual Pandava. So there was a time after Bhishma fell that Abhimanyu, who was Arjuna and Subhadra, Krishna's sister's son, was one of the best warriors in the field, and he was tearing everything apart. And so, one day the Pandavas were going to. There was I think it's called the Chaturvyuha. There was a special military arrangement made by Dronacharya, and I think this was when he became the general. Maybe the day after Bhishma fell, and he became the general, and he had an amazing formation, and so. But Arjuna was subverted on another side of the field. He was doing so many other things. So what happened was that what ended up happening is that the only one who knew how to penetrate this Chaturvyuha was Abhimanyu. The only one who knew how to do it was Arjuna, actually. But because Drona had arranged that Arjuna would fight on one side of the battlefield, that no one will be able to overcome this. But Abhimanyu, Arjuna's son, he knew how to penetrate the Chaturvyuha, but he didn't know how to get out of it. It's a very powerful arrangement. So what ended up happening was that, they said, all right, Yudhishthir, Bhima, the rest of the Pandavas said, Abhimanyu, if you can penetrate this, and we'll back you up, and we'll get you out of it. But what ended up happening is because Jayadrath got the blessing that he can defeat all the Pandavas once, Abhimanyu penetrated, but Jayadrath blocked all of them from getting in, and it was just Abhimanyu in the Chaturvyuha. And so Abhimanyu is Krishna's nephew, Arjuna's son. Abhimanyu fought like crazy, and so valiantly in the Chaturvyuha, he started slaying everyone. And so all of a sudden, all the great personalities, Drona, Karna, all these, the best warriors on the field, they are all feeling there's no way we can defeat Abhimanyu. And so we have to all dishonorably gang up on him and kill him together. And that's essentially what they did. And a very sad part of the Mahabharata. If you read the Mahabharata, this pastime is probably one of the saddest of the whole war. But what ended up happening is all the Pandavas, one by one, got blocked by Jayadratha into it. And by the time Arjuna got there, Jayadratha blocked him as well. And then Abhimanyu got killed. And so this was horrible for Arjuna and Krishna even. So Abhimanyu gets murdered, and it was, he fought. Everyone was praising Abhimanyu because his valiancy and how amazing he fought it's like unprecedented, never seen before. But they killed him actually. Interestingly enough, it'll get revealed later, but due to that, Arjuna made a vow that I will sever his head from his body, blah, blah, blah. But Jayadratha had a curse. Anyone who would drop his head to the ground, Lord Shiva, he had a blessing that anyone who would drop his head to the ground, their head would be shattered in 7. So now Arjuna, then he's made a vow that I'm going to kill him. I'm going to kill him by the end of tomorrow's fight. So it was very difficult. And if not, if he's not going to do that, I'll give up my life. So he made like a very strong vow. A very inappropriate, foolish vow actually, in the heat of anger. So anyway, word got round, and the Kauravas, they realized that, okay, if we can keep Arjuna from killing Jayadratha today, Arjuna will kill himself due to his honor, his Kshatriya honor. So they had this like crazy formation where they put all their warriors in the way of Arjuna, and we're like, we just have to keep Jayadratha alive. So it was like chess, and they like put Jayadratha as the king in the back of the formation, and everyone, the whole goal was Arjuna had to get to Jayadratha, and the whole goal of the whole day of the Kauravas was to block Arjuna from getting to Jayadratha. So they did it, and it was this crazy day of just fighting, and Arjuna's mowing through everybody. And, it was like, Arjuna probably thinks it's funny, but Arjuna's mowing through everybody. But obstacle after obstacle, strong warrior, Drona, this one, that one, they're throwing everyone at him. And everyone on the Pandava side is get Arjuna through, everyone on the Kaurava side is block Arjuna. So it's this crazy fight, and the sun is just about to set. Arjuna's making his way towards Jayadratha. And what ended up happening is Krishna threw his Sudarshan chakra. He wasn't allowed to fight, but he could play tricks. He threw his Sudarshan chakra right as the sun was about to set, and it blocked the sun, and everyone thought the sun set. And so everyone on the Kaurava side started celebrating, and Krishna told Arjuna, you have to sever his head, and in such a way, Jayadratha's father, who actually protected him with the boon, whoever would drop his head to the ground, his head would split in 7. He was meditating, I don't know, some miles away. And somehow or other, Krishna taught Arjuna how to have like a heat-seeking arrow, take off Jayadratha's head and carry it all the way to this lake, drop it in his father's lap. And his father, being startled, would toss the head to the ground, and then his head would be split in 7. So anyway, that's exactly what happened. The Kauravas start celebrating right as the sun's about to set. Krishna releases his Sudarshan. The sun comes back out. Everyone sees it. The Kauravas are confused. The Pandavas are confused. Arjuna fires. The arrow comes, takes off his head, sends it into the evil father's meditating lap, and he's, my son's head, ew, my God. And then he dropped it. His head cracked into 7, and that was how the day ended. It's very intense, actually. If you hear, again, this is all like Mahabharata Katha. It's very nice, though. So the father immediately died, his forehead being cracked in 7 pieces. So, Prabhupada is giving such a direct summary, but unless you really know the pastimes of Mahabharata, you won't know much. But it's very, very, very nice. So I can see the Madhavs sitting here like, okay, but the Indians are like, because you know this from your childhood, you've heard these pastimes. Yeah, yes, you one day you'll somehow get through the Mahabharata. It's very, very, very nice pastimes. But yes, This is very good. This whole first canto is meant to be like a continuation of Mahabharata, because Mahabharata was so prominent at the time when Bhagavatam arose. Sotye vritaku matinat mada ishwaro me yat pada padmam abhavaya bhajanti bhavyaha mang shrantavaham adayoratino bhuvishtang na praharanyadanubhava nirasta chitaha. Sotye, regarding a chariot driver, Vrita, engaged, Kumatina, by bad consciousness, Atmada, one who delivers, Ishwara, the Supreme Lord, May, my, Yat, whose, Pada Padmam, lotus feet, Abhavaya, in the matter of salvation, Bhajanti, do render service, Bhavya, the intelligent class of men, Mam, unto me, Shranta, thirsty, Vaham, my horses, Araya, the enemies, Rathina, a great general, Bhuvishlang, while standing on the ground, Na, did not, Praharan, attack, Yat, whose, Anubhava, mercy, Nirasta, being absent, Chitta, mind. It was by his mercy only that my enemies neglected to kill me when I was descended from my chariot to get water for my thirsty horses, and it was due to my lack of esteem for my Lord that I dared engage him as my chariot driver. For he is worshipped and offered services by the best men to attain salvation. So a couple things here. One, I actually wanted to mention, why would Abhimanyu, the nephew of Krishna, the son of Arjuna, why would Krishna arrange that Abhimanyu is to be killed? Yes.
Why?
Yes. So you may ask this question. Mohit's wrapped in attention. He loves Mahabharata Katha. So
Lord Krishna knows everything. So why?
Yes. So why would he do? Actually, it was in Abhimanyu's chart, his jati, that he would have an enmity with his maternal uncle, who was Krishna, actually. So it's in his astrology. So also, a lot of times some devotees say, oh, just neglect astrology, you don't mind. Don't neglect astrology. You have to see how everything could be utilized in Krishna. Astrology is mapping your karma, how you can utilize your karma in Krishna's service. This is bhakti, in the beginning stage of bhakti, karma, mishra bhakti. So anyhow, Abhimanyu had it that he would develop enmity with Krishna in his older years. So ultimately, when it was revealed, eventually it was revealed, I forget what Purana it was revealed, why Abhimanyu had to be killed. It was because, actually, that he would turn on Krishna, and this would be the worst thing for his spiritual life, that it was actually a great benediction, and that in this life he could die a hero, rather than, and in service to Krishna, in service to the devotees, rather than to turn on Krishna and become infamous. So actually it was quite fortunate to die that way. But no, you can't see why. Why do things happen? And especially when you hear Mahabharata, it's like probably one of the saddest parts of Mahabharata is when Abhimanyu passes. But actually it was Krishna's great benediction on Abhimanyu, so that he can die a hero, serving the devotees, serving Krishna himself, rather than later on in his karma he would develop an enmity for him. So this was said to be why. So anyhow, it was by his mercy only. Okay, we read that. This is another pastime. I forget all the details, or I would tell it. But Arjuna, at some point, his horses got exhausted, and he had to leave his chariot. And I think there was some scheme on how to protect Arjuna, and Krishna had actually the scheme on how to protect Arjuna when he got down from his chariot during this time. And it seemed like it was very bad for him. So it was due to my lack of esteem for my Lord that I dared engage him as my chariot driver. You say, well, why? What's so bad about a chariot driver? Well, if you understand, Krishna is one Arjuna's friend. This is, Parth means what? Chariot driver of Arjuna?
Surya is courage.
What?
Courage.
The courage of Arjuna. Okay. So Parth is chariot driver. And what's one of, what's another name for Krishna? That's, that it's Parth, what? It's a name for Krishna. No.
Sarathi means leader.
What's that?
One who leads. Sarathi.
Oh, one who leads. That's a much better.
Not a driver, but one
Yeah.
who leads.
Oh, good. Thank you for teaching me. So so Parth Sarathi is one who leads Parth. So he's like the speaker of Bhagavad Gita. Anyway, but Arjuna is Krishna's friend. He is Krishna's friend. And in the midst of friendship, you can, you could put your friend in a little bit of a degrading situation. So Arjuna, one time he fought with Krishna as his chariot driver, and it was like he was the best driver he's ever seen, because when he defended the Kamivan forest, that pastime was also mentioned a few classes back. Arjuna was like, this was amazing. And he was like always hoping, when he heard Krishna couldn't fight, he's like, well, can you be my chariot driver again? But if somebody's a great personality, to be a chariot driver is an extremely offensive request to them. Why? Because do you know how you steer the chariot drivers? You have to kick them. So maybe not hard, but you have to kick the chariot drivers. So kick Krishna to the left, go to the left. Kick Krishna to the right. That's how the warrior he will steer the chariot driver. So when someone is in the position of the Lord, imagine you put the Lord in a position, request the Lord to be in a position where I'm going to kick you. So now he's saying, but due to my lack of esteem for my Lord, my lack of respect for my Lord, I dared engage him as my chariot driver. That's why when Krishna reveals the Vishwarup in the 11th canto of Bhagavad Gita, Arjuna just feels like I'm such a fool, please forgive me for all my offenses when I laid on the same bed as you, and when I did, all these things. It's looking at Aviram. So,
Krishna ate his remnants.
yes, Krishna ate his remnants. All friendship dealings are just like that. So, but he's saying, due to his lack of esteem for his Lord, he dared engage him as his chariot driver. And for he's worshipped and offered services by the best men who attain salvation. So actually this is, this is actually what can happen in friendship with the Lord. Just like Mother Yashoda might chastise Krishna, and, they might even punish Krishna, tie Krishna up, maybe even giving him some little tap of spanking or something like this, grabbing his hand, twisting his ear, all these things. Why? Because the relationship is so deep they can do that. Arjuna actually had such a deep relationship also that he could do like that. But what ended up happening is that when he realized Krishna's position, he was feeling very, oh my God, what a doofus I am. That's why Krishna, he covers over the Aishwarya Gyan in Vrindavan. Why? Because if they know he's God, then they'll not be inclined to act like that to him. Just like if you were to meet, a very important personality. You maybe have done this before. You met some older gentleman, and he seemed nice, and you're just friendly with him, and then you find out he's a very important person, and you say, "Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry," like this. Or I met somebody, and I was at their, home, and it's happened a few times before where I went to go meet with someone, like a high, an authority figure. And I needed to make a request for a job or something like that. And I meet the person, and I didn't realize I met the person. And then I realized, oh, no, I'm the person you were coming to meet. I was like, oh, my God, I'm so sorry. But Arjuna did that with Krishna, He's, you're just my friend, and, I have so many friendly relations. And Krishna likes that, actually. But as soon as it's revealed to Arjuna Krishna's position, he's, oh, my God. So now he still has this Aishwarya Gyan of Krishna's supreme nature, of the Supreme Lord. So he's saying, due to my foolishness, I dared engage him as my chariot driver. This is why Arjuna doesn't have a pure Sakya Bhav. He is Sakya mixed with Dasya. Is where the Sakya is there, the friendship is there and it's felt, but also Arjuna is given Dasya knowledge that this is someone above me. But Krishna actually, it's sweeter when the relationship, they don't realize that they're above him. So anyhow, the Supreme Lord, the personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna, is the object of worship both by the impersonalists and by the devotees of the Lord. The impersonalists worship his glowing effulgence emanating from his transcendental body of eternal form, bliss, and knowledge, and the devotees worship him as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Those who are below even the impersonalists consider him to be one of the great historical personalities. So everyone's understanding Krishna's Bhagavan nature, the Mayavadis or the impersonalists, they believe that the perfected Brahman had come in this form of Krishna to enlighten humanity and then dissolve back into his perfected Brahman state. The devotees realize, no, this is the Supreme Lord in his most confidential, beautiful form, and we worship this form. We don't think it's a form of Maya, that was covering him, and that really the essence is we have to get everything down to the impersonal light of Brahman. So the devotee thinks different. And even those who are more less qualified, they think he's just like a great historical personality. Yeah, he was the king of Dwarka, and he, fought in the battle of Kurukshetra, he spoke the Bhagavad Gita, he did all these accolades, but he's, just a person. The Lord, however, descends to attract all by his specific transcendental pastimes, and thus he plays the part of the most perfect master, friend, son, and lover. His transcendental relation with Arjuna was in friendship, and the Lord therefore played the part perfectly, as he did with his parents, lovers, and wives. While playing in such a perfect transcendental relation, the devotee forgets, by the internal potency of the Lord, that his friend or son is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, although sometimes the devotee is bewildered by the acts of the Lord. After the departure of the Lord, Arjuna was conscious of his great friend, but there was no mistake on the part of Arjuna, nor any ill estimation of the Lord. Intelligent men are attracted by the transcendental acting of the Lord with a pure, unalloyed devotee like Arjuna. In the war field, scarcity of water is a well-known fact. Water is very rare there, and both the animals and men working strenuously on the war field constantly require water to quench their thirst. Especially wounded soldiers and generals feel very thirsty at the time of death. And it sometimes so happens that simply for want of water one has to die unavoidably. But such scarcity of water was solved in the battle of Kurukshetra by means of boring the ground. By God's grace, water can be easily obtained from any place if there is facility for boring the ground. The modern system works on the same principle of boring the ground, but modern engineers are still unable to dig immediately wherever necessary. It appears, however, from the history as far back as the days of the Pandavas, that big generals like Arjuna could at once supply water even to the horses, and what to speak of men, by drawing water from underneath the hard ground simply by penetrating the stratum with a sharp arrow, a method still unknown to the modern scientists. So if you didn't know this pastime, Arjuna had to get off the chariot to get water, and he put a mantra-infused arrow into the ground and was able to draw water up. He was also able to do this for Bhishma, when Bhishma was lying on the bed of arrows, and to quench his thirst as well. So it takes some technique, some skill that we don't have. That's why it means something when Arjuna says, I can control the wind, and this, that, and the other thing. Because he had mantra-infused arrows where he could do things, amazing things that no one else could do, but still he could not control his mind. Mukunda last Sunday was talking about this verse. So anyway, Prabhupada he's speaking to the common populace, how due to these devotional technologies, these ancient mystical technologies, you could extract water from the earth and so many things like this. So anyway, Grantharaj Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Jai. Thank you guys for listening to more Mahabharat Katha. I like actually recalling these pastimes. I have not heard them in some years now. So please excuse me if I get anything wrong, but very